Hi, everyone. This is Alexander Lim, and welcome to AuthorStory, where in every episode we speak to various authors on various topics of interest. Now, for this episode, I'm interviewing Anna Gatmon. We're doing a special interview for the Christmas season. So, Anna, welcome back again to AuthorStory.
Hello, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. This interview is going to be a little different, but before we start, for the benefit of those of us who haven't heard the interview with you done last September, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Yeah.
Okay, so I was born and raised in Israel to a Jewish father and a Christian Protestant mother.
Hmm.
I've lived in Paris, France for a decade and worked as a fashion model, and have lived in the U.S. now for the past 5 years, and have really had different experiences of extremes.
Hmm.
Of spiritual life, material life, Jewish life, Christian life, and have had to compromise and find a way to live with the differences that we each have on this planet. So,
Hmm.
my experience when I began going on a spiritual journey is that there's a split between our material life and our spiritual life, and if we
Hmm.
want to be truly spiritual, we kind of have to give up our material indulgences.
All right.
And that didn't really work for me. I mean, I had been a fashion model and had lived a very gratifying material life, and felt I need to that was superficial, and I had to need to let go of it.
All right.
But I really appreciated so much of the material world, artistic expressions, good food, beautiful clothes, um, technology. I mean, there's so many things that people create
Hmm.
with their spirit,
Right.
which which are material things, and if we don't appreciate them, then why are we doing them? Then in a sense, we're not honoring the spirit of the people that are doing them.
Hmm.
And so, the book is about how to live a spiritual life in a material world and how to have this balance, because we live in a body, we have an endless to-do list every day, we live material, mundane lives, and it's really not about living either a material life that's devoid of meaning, or a
Hmm.
spiritual life where we deny our material existence, but it's really about marrying the two
Hmm.
and living in peace with the two, and in celebration of the two. So
Hmm.
that's what the book's about.
All right, cool, fantastic. Let's get into the present Christmas season. And, since I am from a Catholic country, I will say Christmas season. Now, I know quite a few of our listeners might say, this season is so stressful. They throw up their hands up in the air, and when this thing comes around, they go, oh my goodness, I wish it were all over. So there seems to be a disjoint between what we think it should be like. I mean, loving, giving, and songs and all that stuff, and carols and all that stuff. But there's a difference between how the way people actually experience it. So, what, in your opinion, causes this disjunction for people?
Well, I agree with you that the holiday season, and here in America, there's Christmas, there's Hanukkah for the Jews, there's
Hmm.
Kwanzaa for African Americans, and there might be other themes because it's all here in the northern hemisphere. It's winter, so there's many holidays that have to do with darkness and light.
Hmm.
Um, but because we live in a material world, we kind of, as much as we would like to live more spiritual lives, we just
Right,
go into the endless to-do list. And so the Christmas to-do list is gifts to buy
right,
and,
right.
and food to cook.
Uh-huh.
And we kind of forget how we can bring our souls and our spirits into even the gift giving, or the cooking of the meal, or
Right,
the gathering. Yeah.
right. So it's sort of like, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, rather than, you know, uh, I know how to put it, keeping it spiritual or giving meaning to it,
Yeah.
some sort of meaning other than gotta do this, a to-do list, as you said.
Right.
All right, okay. I'm sure that a lot of folks will give a lot of gifts that might seem important at the time, but which later on aren't as important as when they were first received. I mean, I'm thinking of obsolescence, like, say, a tablet or something becomes obsolete within a few months of people getting it. You know, uh, Temporary gifts. Yet I sense you're coming from a place where the best gifts are more lasting and more permanent in nature. What are some of these things that you came up with, and what are these all about?
Really, like a kind of thought of the Holy Trinity and kind of played on that. And so I
Mm-hmm.
call it the Holy Trinity, WHOLLY. So from wholeness, how to
Okay.
create this wholeness of spiritual material balance.
All right.
And the Trinity is like, so we're one of the parts of the Trinity, because we're the ones who can combine the spiritual and the material. And the other two parts of the Trinity, one is a spiritual value, a spiritual quality, a spiritual aspiration. And then the third one is its material expression, because
Mm-hmm.
everything in our material world is an expression of some intention. And our intention are the spiritual part. And we can
Mm-hmm.
have a high intention, or we can have a very low and insignificant intention. So
Right.
so Trinity is something spiritual, something material, and we are the connector who can create it. And that creates the holy with a W, Holy Trinity.
Okay, cool. And so, what are the things that, can apply to this Holy Trinity? The things we can do, and the things that can create a festive feeling for the season, rather than I got to do this.
Right. So, each one can think of, for example, something that's important for them for the holiday, what they love about the holiday the most,
Mm-hmm.
what they love about their memories from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, these are all metaphysical, spiritual things.
Mm-hmm.
And to bring those in different ways. So, for example, it can be around, lighting candles. I mean, it's always a holiday of light.
Right.
And so there's the metaphor of light. We're in the middle of the winter again in the northern hemisphere, and we're trying to bring light into this darkness. And so
Mm-hmm.
anything that has to do with candles
Mm-hmm.
um, brings light.
Mm-hmm.
And so, shall I give you some examples of what one could do?
Yeah, please do. Go ahead.
Okay. So, you can create a meal with family and friends, and you can get like small candles, and you can, in the middle of the meal, just have each one light a candle and
Mm-hmm.
share either something about themselves, how they would like to bring more light into the world and in the coming year,
Mm-hmm.
or a part of the planet where they wish and there would be more light and there would
Mm-hmm.
be more peace. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of creates a meaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can do a project. I've done, every year I've done projects with my children since they were young. They're adults now, but I do it with adults as well. Is we create candles. So either we I buy small little jars or glasses and we kind of decorate them, or we create our own candles. In craft store, there are different ways to make candles that are not complicated, where you can really sit and for an hour just talk and chat and be together and have snacks and create candles, and
Right.
then light the candle. And again, there you can either talk about light and darkness. You can talk about the seeds that are germinating inside you in this time of darkness that are going to come out in the spring. You can talk about the theme of birth, the birth of Jesus. So our birth, or the birth of our higher consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
which Jesus stands for. There's all these different ways that just with the one thing, the theme of light, we can bring more meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but if I can just say something, I think that sometimes people are looking for more meaning and purpose, but
Mm-hmm.
then many times we kind of get embarrassed to say, well, let's stop just the chatter and let's do something a bit more meaningful. But my experience is that once people engage in it, they enjoy it so much. They say it was so meaningful. It wasn't just eating and stuffing ourselves and
Right.
opening gifts. It was really, there was something about the world and how to bring more light, or about myself. Or you can even go around the circle and you can bless each other with
Mm-hmm.
with a quality. So these are different things just with a theme of light.
Okay. And I think there are other themes related to the Christmas season. I mean, like, I'm just thinking like Santa Claus and gift giving.
Yes.
What about, is there anything about this where gifts are concerned?
Yes. Well, people, and um, it's more fulfilling to have an experience than to just get a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to think of how to create experiences. So experiences are first of all for the giver and then for the receiver. So
Mm-hmm.
create your own gifts. If you create your own gifts, then you're actually putting time into, and you're being creative, and you're connecting to the fun and your creative essence as you're doing it. So some people knit things, and some people create food. So, it's like you can do like special jellies or special jams or special food for the holiday,
Mm-hmm.
um, and just put it in jars or in nice packaging and just offer it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we feel that it has to be something, material and special, but we end up giving ties and socks and sweaters. So
Right.
why not give like a special mixture of nuts or a special mixture of cookies or
Uh-huh.
something that's creative and it's perishable,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
and so there can be food. You can bring plants. There's research about how nature can heal us and how nature can elevate our spirit. And so you can create like herb, um, like a small little planter like this with different herbs that can sit in a windowsill,
Mm.
um, or a nice, like, think of different ways that you can bring nature into the house in the
Mm-hmm.
winter.
Mm.
Um, so and there's also something, for example, that we used to do, and I don't know if it's my family's tradition or if it's a Swedish tradition because my mother is from Sweden, but the Christmas gifts,
Mm-hmm.
we had to on the package we had to write a rhyme
Hmm.
that had the theme of the gift,
Mm-hmm.
and when the person took the gift, they couldn't open it until they read the rhyme, and they had to
Okay.
guess what the gift was. And
Okay.
that's fun. That's
Yeah.
really fun to do. And so we always giggle, we always laugh. But again, the creator,
Uh-huh.
you are being creative and are being funny and are being humorous.
Right.
And then the receiver is not just opening the packet, but they're reading a rhyme. They have to guess what it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of connection and a lot of giggling. And all of that creates this balance between our spiritual self and this material holiday, right?
Yeah, yeah, and of course, I mean it's that rhyming thing that occurs to me is pretty much fun. I mean, good grief, what is in this thing? Read the rhyme and kind of guess. Go for it.
Yeah. Oh, that has been always loads of fun because people kind of poke at each other a bit and say funny things, and
Right.
that's a really fun thing. And I have to say, people might feel, well, I'm not a good writer, I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
poet, I don't know how to rhyme. I mean, this is really about being silly. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
would do rhymes that were not even in the English language, but they would fit the
Okay.
gift. So
Okay.
really be free with it and just rhyme or say something that people have to kind of guess, so that it takes a bit more time to open the gift and there's an
Mm-hmm.
experience of connection and fun.
All right. Okay. Look, that's definitely a very fun activity. Okay, now let's move into another aspect of the Christmas season. I mean, food. I
Yes.
mean, food central to a lot of celebrations. I mean, and I mean, it's not just Christmas. I mean, a lot of celebrations, people gather around food to celebrate. So,
Yeah.
what is it about, the food that people can do with the food this season or around the food this season that can balance their material and their spiritual aspects?
Yeah, food is a huge connector for people. It's also it reminds people of their childhood, of special dishes, and so it's really, and it's also an opportunity to try new things. I mean, there's so many. The internet is exploding with recipes that build on the traditional but go into new places, and so you can really have fun with it. I mean, you can prepare your favorite dishes, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and have your traditional meal. And again, around the table, sitting and having a moment where each person shares what their favorite meal is or what their favorite dish is, and a memory about that dish or what they loved about that dish, why it
Mm-hmm.
is their favorite. So suddenly people are sharing some history, and maybe if it's a family, then they have shared history. And
Mm-hmm.
so telling a story about the meal, what's my favorite part, what's my
Mm-hmm.
favorite dish.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Another way is to, there's so many traditions within one religion. So even in the US, um, in the North, in the South, people create different dishes for Christmas. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you're in Europe, then different countries create different dishes. And so you
Right.
can really kind of learn about the different dishes and add to your menu a dish which is different than your tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And then talk about that story or
Mm-hmm.
where it comes from,
Mm-hmm.
or how different traditions. I mean, just include other traditions so that we also learn how to be more inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
And always, I mean, really important. I mean, in these holidays, we often forget that there are people, many people, who are alone,
Right.
and that the holidays are really like a horror for them. It's not this fun family gathering with, tons of gifts. They're alone, or they um, don't have the resources to buy gifts or to buy many gifts. And
Right.
so really invite someone like this,
Mm-hmm.
go beyond your um, comfort zone, and invite somebody who might be alone,
Mm-hmm.
um, and include a tradition that's different, a person, even a person from a different culture
Mm-hmm.
or a different tradition. I mean, I'm not American, but I love to go to Thanksgiving and
Mm-hmm.
just be part of that because it's part of the tradition here in the US. And so just learn about each other's cultures through the food and through the giving. And that's a way to learn to be more tolerant and inclusive and, understanding of other cultures and other people.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I mean, I understand because I mean, like, food is central to a lot of cultures. You can figure
Yeah.
out, you can get a feel for culture by the kind of food they consume, the kind of food they make.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So really the formula here is to do the regular material things that you do or
Mm-hmm.
new ones, but just pay attention to the kind of hidden spiritual value that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's the food, and if it's your most traditional food, what are
Mm-hmm.
the stories behind it? What is the
Mm-hmm.
history of it? What is it like? How does it make you feel to enjoy these traditional foods? If it
Mm-hmm.
gifts, then go for the experience of creating a gift, or the experience, or giving something which is an experience versus just a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because the theme of birth and the theme of light and darkness are so central to Christmas
Mm-hmm.
and to Hanukkah and Kwanzaa as well,
Mm-hmm.
play with that. So just whatever it is that you do, just take something like one ingredient that has a spiritual quality or value, and
Mm-hmm.
then some material expression of it, and marry them together. You're the person who's going to marry them, and that's the Holy Trinity, and you're bound to have a meaningful holiday.
Okay. So, by Holy Trinity, then, we're talking about gifts, meaningful gifts, light and sharing, and festive food. Do I have this correct?
Yes, yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, because I think that's really the essence of Christmas. I mean, there's food, there's gifts, and then there's gathering and connection and light.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
That
right.
is the essence of it, and it
Uh-huh.
is holy. I mean, it's holy with an H. It's a
Yes.
holy season,
Yes.
and if we marry the spiritual and more meaning into the material expression of it, it becomes holy with a W. It becomes more like wholeness. So it really is both holy and whole.
Right. Okay. And it occurs to me that all these can apply to, this doesn't just apply to Christmas. I mean, this can apply to other occasions, other events where there's some sort of gathering, some sort of celebration, not just to Christmas, could be others as well. I mean, like,
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, yes,
yeah, like in the United States, I'm thinking, I mean, this could be applied to like Thanksgiving as well.
yeah. Thanksgiving, and there's so many other holidays. I mean, if we look, the internet allows us to search things in like a second. So each holiday around the world, we can Google the hidden meaning or the tradition or where it comes from, and that's the spiritual intention of that holiday.
Hmm.
Or even if we go into life celebrations, there's
Hmm.
birth and there's confirmation or different, or bat or bar mitzvah in the Jewish tradition when you
Hmm.
become from a child to an adult.
Hmm.
Each one of those has a spiritual intention that we've kind of forgotten in the midst of just creating an event and food and inviting people. And
Right.
so search whatever it is that you're celebrating. I mean, even the Sabbath or
Hmm.
Sunday, they have spiritual meanings, they have spiritual intentions.
Hmm.
So you could, every week of the year, you could see, okay, what's the hidden intention here for the weekend, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And just bring that more into your weekend, and you're just bound to have this kind of, this spa for the soul experience, which is both spiritual and
Right.
material, like a spa is, right? I mean,
Right.
a spa rejuvenates your body and your soul, and that's the intention. And I agree with you, it can be around the year and throughout life.
Right. Cool. And I mean, this is very interesting because I'm sure a lot of folks don't think of it that this way. I mean, as you mentioned, this they think of events like occasions like a to-do list more than the spiritual aspect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it really is. I mean, it's so simple. I mean, that's why I love, the concept of marrying the spiritual and the material. It's not this huge spiritual thing, and you don't need to give up your entire life. And it's not just meaningless material to-do lists or things and acquisition of things. It's really finding the hidden treasures that are hidden between all of our daily material experiences and around the holiday, the things that we love doing, but why do we love doing them,
Hmm.
and how can we do them so they have a bit more meaning? And suddenly we've had an amazing gathering.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so just for point of comparison, Anna, do you have for benefit of our listeners, can you give an example of like what it doesn't have to be Christmas, but what an occasion was without spiritual for you in your life, and then that same occasion later on you learned to marry the spiritual and the material together.
So an occasion in my life
Yeah, in
where
your
that
life.
was not Christmas, yeah. Um, well, I've done it again around graduations for different family members and
Hmm.
friends. So finishing high school, for example,
Hmm.
is a special occasion.
Right.
And so I've created like a kind of like a blessing book where
Mm.
I've asked people to write a blessing to the teenager who's graduating,
Hmm.
something something that you love about them, an anecdote or a story, and what you wish for them as they go into adulthood and they go into adult life, if it's to college like they do in the US, in other countries, they do other things, they go and work, but
Right.
a quality that you know about them that you know will serve them in adulthood, a gift that you offer them, a spiritual gift
Mm.
that will help them into adulthood. So here you've taken a graduation
Hmm.
that happens to everyone because and you turn it into something more meaningful. And if you create a book or you create a video where people say um, what they wish for you, or there's a book, then suddenly people have something to go back to, so that
Mm.
the kid who is in college later on, like 3 years later,
Right.
and is kind of lonely one day and going,
Right.
oh, this is hard. They
Right.
have
Right.
this book with this note of people saying, it's not the result that's important, it's the process, or love is the most important thing, or music is important. People share different things, their photos may be in it. I mean, so there's so many different events that you can create um, more meaning to them throughout life.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, fantastic. Thanks for that example. So, Anna, in this last few minutes of this episode, are there any last words of wisdom you'd like to share to inspire listeners, to get them inspired for the coming holiday season?
Yeah, because I would say just you are the creator of your own world and of the holiday season, and you
Mhm.
can marry your spiritual part with its material expression. And
Mhm.
so you can be creative. Be creative. Like, how would you want to bring something that's meaningful and important and essential for you this holiday? And how would you like to express it? And be courageous. Go beyond your comfort zone and invite the gathering of people that you're with to do something that's purposeful and more meaningful while you're enjoying good food and
Mhm.
the light of the candles
Mhm.
and the beautiful gifts.
Mhm. Right. Okay. Well, great words of wisdom right there. I'm sure there are quite a few who are going to try that out. At least try that out this coming Christmas. I know I certainly will. So, Anna, thank you for your time. Thank you for being on Author Story again. It was a lot of fun and it was very insightful having you with us today.
Alex, it was a pleasure to come back. Really enjoyed my conversation with you. Thank you. And a wonderful holiday to you and to all your listeners.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. And Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to one and all. So, everyone, if you want to, please feel free to subscribe to our channel. So, bye for now, everyone. And I'll be back next time on Author Stories with another inspiring author.